Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to May's edition of the LocalGov Drupal Community Meetup. Today we're going to do a playback of LocalGov Drupal Camp, which happened last month, and then we've got a little, hopefully, fun activity at the end, which I think we'll get to. I will reveal later. We'll also do our usual news roundup. We normally do that at the beginning, but Craig, who has very kindly offered to share the session that he ran at LocalGov Drupal Camp, has got to go at 2:15. So we're going to do the playback first and jump straight in. Then we'll do news. Then we'll do, inverted commas, fun activity. And then you'll be free to go about your days.
I'm hoping it's all going to be fun, but not just the activity at the end.
That's true. Yeah, let's hope it's all fun. So I'm going to switch over to the deck and hope that start from beginning. This works for you all. How's that looking?
Good.
Yeah, I've had some problems with this on Zoom recently. Okay, it seems to be resolved itself.
I've added the link to the chat as well in case people want to get it for themselves.
Great, thank you. So we had a lovely mission patch for LocalGov Drupal Camp, thanks to Sally with the Birmingham Bull. There were stickers as well, which some people may have taken with them. Tim is going to talk through very quickly just our feedback and what we sort of learned from running the event, and then Craig will kick us into intranet, and then we're going to be going around the room to people like Will and Duncan, and can't find other people here. Hopefully other people who are here. Shaz is here, brilliant, who did other sessions at the camp. Firstly, big thanks to everyone who came. We got loads of people coming. Tim will tell you how many. And a massive thanks to Anatech, who are our headline sponsor, and eShot and Mensa, who are our social sponsors. So they sponsored food and drink during the day, which was much appreciated. And also our subscribers, always, for helping us. Without you, we wouldn't actually have put this on. So Tim, a quick summation.
Yeah, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, so to reiterate what Aaron's just said, thanks everyone for coming. It was a great day. There's about 95 attendees, which was actually slightly over capacity. We oversold the event thinking, you usually get about 20% drop off, but we didn't get 20% drop off. We got about 8% drop off. So it was a bit more crammy than we expected, but that was great. I think it just added to the energy of the day. So that was great. We made a small loss on the event, and that was because we didn't manage to get a lunch sponsor, and we decided late on to cut the number of stalls, because having assessed the size of the venue and numbers, we thought actually we don't want to start cramming stall holders in because it wouldn't look good. So we made a small loss on that, and we could have sold more tickets and stalls if we'd have had a bigger venue. And we're going to come on to something related to that in a minute. Something interactive. That's another fun element of the session. So we ran a quick survey of attendees, and almost all the sessions were rated good or very good. You can find actually a link to that feedback form in this doc, so please do go and have a look at it and fill it out if you haven't already, and we can add your comments and ideas to the mix for next time. Thanks for putting that in the chat. Highlights for attendees were meeting people in person, and the general energy in the room, and that was great. We built in a lot of sort of downtime and break periods so that people could do that sort of informal networking. So it was great that people valued that. We were pleased with that. There were some sound quality issues because it was not a conference, like a dedicated conference venue, so there was no, the AV wasn't as shiny and brilliant as it might have been in a purpose-built venue, and some people were less than enamored with the deep fried food, so apologies for that. Some people if they were last in the line and didn't get any of the deep fried food, they might have got pizza. So, you know, we had a quick panic because there was a bit of a problem with the food order, and we did get some pizza. So, yeah, that's something to think about for next time. Just in the core team reflections, we did a little retro. We were super happy with the energy and enthusiasm in the room. Like, participation in all the sessions was really great. So we were really happy with that. We liked the way the unconference session worked. There was a really good range of sessions. People were really happy putting themselves forward. People really liked participating in there. That was great. What was less good was a diverse range of speakers. So it's just a reflection of the community in general, I think, like, and tech in general tends to be a bit white and a bit male. And we are trying with that, and we will continue to try with that. So we hope it improves as time goes on. And, you know, we wanted to ask Aaron not to use Chat GPT to write any limericks in the future. Aaron, I mean, just so people know why, maybe you could post your limerick or Chat GPT's limerick in the
It wasn't mine.
in the chat, and then people will know why we don't want any more of those.
Okay, sure.
So thanks again to all those who attended. Please give us your feedback. And now I am going to hand over to Craig. Thanks, Craig, for making the time.
Thanks, Tim.
Talk about
Craig, before you go on, we've got pictures all the way through.
Cool.
There's a prize for anyone who can find the one person smiling in any of these pictures. Like, it was actually a really happy event, but I don't think the pictures quite reflecting that. Everyone's very serious. Craig, so...
No, sorry, there's one more thing. Aaron, do you want to open the poll?
Oh, yes, open the poll. Sorry, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
so have a look at the poll
running.
questions to help us shape the next events.
Thanks, Tim. Okay, yeah, it's just two questions. So at your leisure, we'll keep that open for the session. Thanks. Craig, sorry.
No, thank you, and thank you for juggling around the agenda to accommodate me. I'm recapping the unconference session that I pitched, which was really scratching an itch of my own. I'm from Cumberland Council. The context there is that we've merged 4 councils together to form a new unitary, and we're in immediate need of delivering on an intranet that everybody can access. So the pitch attracted about 20-25 people, and I'd like to thank any of them that are here today, and even if you're not here today, thank you for supporting me. I kind of pitched the unconference not expecting it to be picked up, and then had to wing it and work out how to deliver something of value, not just for me, but for others. But I had a friendly bunch, so it was okay and not as daunting as it might have seemed. We wanted to tackle the main problem challenge was these 2 questions. So, what aspects of an intranet would we be interested in delivering? We had a little bit of an idea, and it was good to see the room sort of confirmed that, in terms of we didn't want to rebuild things. We're not looking to rebuild teams or rebuild document sharing or what have you. This is focused on the sort of website aspect of intranet's internal communications and what have you. And after defining that first bit, we wanted to understand if we can deliver it with LocalGov Drupal, sort of basically out of the box, or whether it would require extensive redevelopment in certain areas to deliver the functionality we needed. And as you can see from some of the photos, the way the session ran was to bust out the post-it notes and get people writing down on post-its what do they want to see from an intranet delivered with LocalGov Drupal. So after doing that exercise, we grouped them, and these themes started to emerge, where main one being access, a single point to start our user journeys, to access any of those sort of functional areas around whether it's HR or whether it's internal comms, whether it's staff service and accessing directories of information or organization charts. Learning and training came up, and sort of a great place for us to broadcast cybersecurity awareness and to provide training across the organization as well. So almost immediately we started to see a sort of information architecture being designed within that discussion and that session. And also through that session, we confirmed what we are not as well. We're not here to try and replace Active Directory. We're not here to try and replace document sharing or these sort of application portals where you load up a portal and you go straight into your HR system or straight into your finance system or whatever it is. We wanted to create a user-centered design, user experience where you have user journeys and services as part of your intranet offering. Cool. Thank you for the next slide. Exactly. So we agreed that basically we can do a lot of this already. It was really encouraging to hear amongst the group that there was, I think, at least one other council that would be keen to explore this further with us. And we know that Essex have already done it. So we'll be leaning on them for some lessons learned and some knowledge. But we also had some suppliers and devs in the room that said there'd be no issue delivering what we've got pretty much out of the box, maybe with the exception of one of the areas people are interested in is sort of personalized content based on maybe location. Oh, that's interesting. BBD have done an intranet as well. I don't know who they are, but maybe
Big Blue Door. Sorry, I shouldn't use that.
Cool. Yeah.
I think they might have. We can message in there.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, so I was just saying around the sort of personalization element, depending on your location or your position within the organization, you might want more personalized information through the intranet, and that's something we could explore with sort of further development with a technical group. That's my quick summary. I'm pretty much bang on time to leg it now and join another session. But have a great day. It does sound really fun, so I'm sorry I can't stick around.
Thanks very much, Craig. That's brilliant.
I was muted. Thank you, Craig.
Speak soon.
Back to your meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to whistle on to, sorry, let me go to the right thing. So Will, editor experience. Here's a picture of your session.
I don't know who took these, but it's really good to see. So we did 2 sections altogether. There was one right at the very start after the hellos and introductions and stuff. We split into 3 groups. So microsites coming up in a minute, accessibility and editor experience. So there was one that I led that was part of the program. And what we did was develop all those. If you go back a sec, I'll just explain briefly what it was.
Oh, yeah.
We basically threw loads of post-its at a wall and said, you know, as a group of content designers, other users of LocalGov Drupal, what do we like and not like about the products that we have, LocalGov Drupal and Microsite right now? And then we tried to prioritize them. You know, what do we need to fix today, tomorrow, at some point? And that's what all the stuff on the wall is. I might be able to show you where all that ended up in a minute, but let's see I can't remember where these slides get to. Here we go. The second session, sorry, Aaron, if you go back one more again. This is so organized, so prepared. It was actually asked for by some of the content designers, and that was lovely. I think Lizzie's on that picture. I don't know if she's here today. She said, you know, we're a bunch of content designers and we don't really know each other. So why don't we sort of get together and say hello and just talk about our day, which is really good. And I said, well, can I just tack a bit more product stuff on the end of that, and we can look at the post-its again and prioritize. So we basically did that. And I don't know if anybody else was in that session, but I really enjoyed it because I've met a lot of people virtually in that room, but we've never met in person. I don't think we've really had the opportunity just to stop for 10 minutes and say, well, this is what we're doing right now. So I really hope that we get to do this again. You know, it could be a little fixture of a future event. It was like a bit of a group therapy session as well. It was nice. So anyway, let's go on to the next one. Please, next slide.
There you go.
So I think I've explained some of this already, but there were a couple of sessions. It was really useful. And a lot of what we ended up doing was very much like the product group, which is the session I facilitate every month, where we look at the work, we prioritize it, we think about what we're trying to achieve. So I don't know if somebody can put a link into the product group or to our Luma. They're every month. It's not just a product thing, it's an anyone thing. Particularly content designers, tell us what you want to see. Please come along. So the stuff we got out of the day was the priorities things on the right of this slide. So there's a lot of issues with preview link. We've known that for a while. We've got some fixes for that. They are coming. We're also looking at some usability things, which I didn't actually know about. So always, if you're having an issue usability wise, please shout out, because I'm not all over this. I only do it sort of day and a half, 2 days a week. So if there's anything that bugs you, tell me. There's an issue with scrolling in a couple of places. I think we've got a fix for that. It's not as easy as it could be to add docs and images. I've seen fixes out there. We just need to sort of get them into the product, I think. So there should be things that we could do quite quickly. The next box down, there's actually quite a few modules I think we ought to add based on people's feedback around showing where images and docs are used. That's entity usage. Being able to duplicate content, that's the oddly named replicate module, which I would really love to change the name of. What links here? So if you're looking at a page, you can see what links into that page. It's quite useful. The LocalGov Drupal doesn't do it at the moment. There's a thing called Masquerade that allows you to test. You can basically be another user and see what they see. And then content readability is like a reading age score that somebody asked for. So I think what I'm going to do with all of those is try them out. We'll put them on a product site. You can have a look at them, but I think they'll probably all go in because they're all useful. If they do what they say they're going to do, they should all go in. And then the final thing is not something we kind of resolve right now, but there's an issue that keeps coming up, which is, do we have paragraphs or page building in every content type or not? So if you look at LocalGov Drupal out of the box, everything's got a body field. Subsite formats have got a body field and page building as well. And that was very deliberate. You know, the regular content types are supposed to be simple. The subsite ones are not. But people are starting to say, well, we want to do more elsewhere on the site. So some councils have already done that. I'm just not sure whether we want to do it in the core product or not. So if you've got any thoughts about that, please let me know. I think we need to do a bit of research into it, and we've got thoughts about how we might do that. Anyway, that's what we're looking at right now. If you go to localgovdrupal.org/backlog, you'll see loads of, in fact, Aaron, can you just share that page for a second? I know you need to go off the slides. I don't know how much time I've got either.
You're over.
Am I? Oh God, sorry.
Yeah.
localgovdrupal.org/backlog. If you go on there, you might not see the labels. You might. Oh, can you see yellow labels? That's all the stuff that came out the day. LocalGov Drupal Camp. So please have a look and chip in. As I say, it was super useful. I think that's all I've got to say for now.
Thanks, Rob.
Sorry, I'm over.
That's all right. No, great. Brilliant. Thank you. We're going to whistle on to Shaz. So Shazia and Layla from Invuse did a session on user research. Hey, Shaz.
Hiya. Yeah, I just want to really echo what everyone else has said before me. It was an absolutely amazing day. And as some of you know, I'm all about LGD. So to actually meet people face to face was just, yeah, great. I wish I could have duplicated myself, cloned myself 5 times. So I was just running around everywhere trying to be involved. But yeah, so anyway, so we did an unconference session on user research. It was asked for on the day. I've only got a couple of slides here. It is not in any way going to tell you how to do user research. It was just the main topics that were picked up. But happy to have a session on this. Questions, email me, whatever. I think the main thing to take from this first slide is to listen to the voice of your end users. And that's the best way to ensure you're implementing a user-centric model. And that's through user research and user experience, which are just key elements throughout any project that you might do. As it says, it should inform every decision. So it's not just at the beginning and that's it. Every kind of decision you're making or choices you're making, you should always have that user need at the forefront, as well as accessibility, of course. We've got a few key pointers here. So just involving your users at each stage stage of that process where possible. Give your users those opportunities to provide those feedback, what they think. Most importantly, understanding their needs and challenges. It's not about asking them what do you like or dislike about the current website, and only because you will get inundated with colors and big neon signs and images and all that kind of stuff that you don't really want to know about. It's how are they getting through that user journey, and what challenges are they facing, and what you can do to resolve that. Finding out that useful and key information. So like I mentioned there, those user journeys, how are they getting from point A to point B, and what's happening in between. It's also really important to get them involved so that you're building on that relationship, you're building that trust, and they are kind of thinking, okay, I mentioned this was a problem. It's A, either fixed, or B, it's going to be fixed, or C, they've been honest and said this is too big of an issue. We will look at it in the future. It's just building that trust again with them and the council as a whole. No prescriptive or one size fit all. So those questions can't be reused over and over again. You wouldn't be able to write out a script or a guide with what you're going to be tackling within those particular user research focus groups or interviews. You just need to let the user flow in that conversation. You just need to listen, ask those relevant questions where needed. And it could be that the user goes off in a tangent, and that's absolutely fine. But there just needs to be that confidence in your ability of knowing what your objectives are from that session, and just having a normal conversation and just asking those relevant specific questions where needed. It is very obvious when you're reading off a script or those questions already made. And just to avoid those solution focused sessions, you can solutionize later. At this stage, all you're doing is just finding out what the issues are, where the challenges are, what may need improving. A couple of research methods here. Again, there's loads out there. These are the top kind of few that I use or we at Invuse use. Before using any of these methods, it's knowing that difference between qualitative and quantitative. So qualitative is the why and how, understanding those underlying reasons, motivations, behaviors of what the user might go through. Your quantitative, how much, how many, that collection and analyzing of those numerical data. The difference between behavioral and attitudinal research. So your behavioral is what those users or people actually do. So what are they doing rather than what they say that they do or would do. It's that actual action that they're taking. Attitudinal is what they say. So understanding their attitudes, their perceptions, their beliefs, that demographic that they belong to, and the whys behind those behavioral decisions or actions taken. And then, yeah, just a list there of particular methods we use. So when you're looking at stakeholder or user and user engagement, it's those interviews, focus groups, your usability testing, scenario testing, if you like. So a few questions and going through scenarios. Your tree testing, your card sorting, that's mainly for your IA. Guerrilla testing is going out there in the wild, face to face, and doing the above, but right there and then in the moment. A/B testing, so your before and after products, feedback form surveys, everyone knows about them, but just making sure there's an objective for them. Your surveys aren't too long. Feedback forms are continuous. You should have that on your website. And then those key buzzwords, user journeys, user stories, user personas. For me, it's really important to know the difference between the three. User personas, I'm going to end with, is one of those keywords or buzzwords that's being used. Really important to know what user personas actually are, not to use them just as a tick box, really having the purpose defined and using them if you really need to, but understanding the differences, like I said, between do you need user personas? Are you actually talking about user journeys? And then lastly, as a reminder, we are hoping to get a user research library together, sharing that with LGD. I say that famous last words. I am working on it. Amongst everything else, I'm working on some beginners guides on the content types. Just need to share it all and write it up and things like that. But I promise it's coming. But
Well,
yeah,
it's on
that's
us as
me.
well, Shaz. Thanks, Shaz. That's great.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
we're going to keep moving. We probably need to speed up a little bit. So we're going to come on to, brilliant. I can speed up because Finn isn't here. So Finn did a session on microsites. He can't join us today. He's got a clash. So I'm going to do a very quick summary, but really it'll just be pointing off to a couple of things. They were in the little room at the end. There's slides there which you can have a look at, which Finn put together for the session. There is now a beta release. That's one thing he wanted to just say, which is great. That's a milestone. And the next step before a first sort of stable release is adding more automated tests. There is now a monthly microsites meetup. So if your council or in your supplier and you're working on microsites, then come along, because you'll be a really valuable part of the feedback mechanism, but also feeding into like what needs to be done now and prioritized for now, next, and later. There is a clear sense of what needs to be done based on feedback over the last 12 months. But Finn's very keen to sort of grow that as we're doing that initiative. The other thing that Finn did was Simon from Birmingham asked for this, learning pathways for newbies, which is a really interesting question. It kind of comes back to a lot of stuff in the Drupal community ever since Drupal's been going, really. This was the session, so they were out in the hallway, and it was a range of things. So not just, you know, from developers or content designers or product managers, but all three. Like, where do I start? How do I understand LocalGov Drupal or Drupal as well? Both applicable. And just having a clear place to go and learn a set of things depending on who you are and what your role is. So there's ideas that have come out of that, and there's potential for a sort of training, LGD training program. So that's something we're exploring. That's kind of fairly fresh, fresh off the press from last week. So hopefully that will sort of start to answer some of these questions, and it's something that you'd then be able to access and promote within your council. So particularly if there's, you know, change of turnover and someone comes in, they don't know anything about Drupal or LocalGov Drupal. The hope is that sort of program will help with that. Duncan, oh, we're going to get techie now, Duncan.
Yeah, techie and quick.
Techie and quick. Here's a little picture of your session, Duncan.
Yes, and I think you know, was it Tim said absolutely nobody's smiling. In fact, you know, that does not look like a happy group.
And so someone's looking up to the heavens as well.
It's SOLR. So, but yeah, no, we had a good session. I didn't expect as many people to turn out for it because it was quite techie one, but no, it was where I felt really well attended. So thanks to everyone that came along. We covered off some sort of basic stuff around using SOLR on multiple environments, looking at moving.
Duncan, just for those in the room that don't know what SOLR is, what is SOLR? Just so we understand what.
Yeah, so SOLR is basically a search engine that would sit behind the search on a LocalGov environment potentially. So out the box, LocalGov doesn't. It uses the built-in database one, but it's quite easy to move it to SOLR, and that's got a lot more power and a lot more potential to do different things, different tools to improve your search. So yeah, we covered multiple environments, how to use it when you're working across, you know, dev stage, live, looking at moving the directory search to use SOLR as well, and how we did that. But the sort of main part of the discussion was around multi-site search, and this was really my similar to Craig, was the itch I had to scratch, which was how we would index a LocalGov Drupal site that's coming online, a legacy site, and then something else like modern.gov. And we had a potential using another tool called Nutch, which is a web crawler. So I sort of put forward one way of doing it, and then Mike from Anatech came up with an alternative, which was a really interesting one. So that was a really productive session. We had a sort of good chat around how that could be done, and the sort of diagram there on the slide sort of shows that alternative using a sort of custom module. And then the other, we sort of then did sort of briefly towards the end touch on how, alternatives to SOLR as well. So I think it was Phil Norton came up with Elasticsearch as well. So that was covered off. So yeah, there we go.
And is this the next steps? Are you working on something for a council for this, Duncan? Is that the?
That's correct. Yeah. So
it's a real live problem that you're trying to figure out.
Yeah. So the multi-site search is the one. In the theory works. We've proven that the theory works. It's just the implementation is a little more problematic. So that's where Mike's approach using a custom module to do it might be better than the approach we'd taken. So yeah, so now sort of exploring that as an alternative.
Brilliant. Thanks, Duncan. I'm going to move us on. I don't know what's next. Let's find out. Will, exploring co-funding and collaboration. That was sort of afternoon session, wasn't it?
Yeah, is this the last? I think this might be the last set of slides in this actually. And this was one of the.
There's an accessibility one, but Maria's not here. I'll just sort of signpost.
Okay, cool. So this was one of the last sessions. I pitched it as an unconference thing, and the attendance was pretty good. Look at the state of that photo. Jesus.
No smiles there.
No, oh well. But it was a good session. Basically, what we were trying to work out was, I mean, my theory is a lot of you subscribe to LocalGov Drupal, and that's very welcome, and that makes a certain amount in the pot, financially, about sort of £250,000 a year. But my hunch is you're spending collectively a lot more than that as a group. And the whole point of this community is to not rework, not reinvent the wheel. And my thought is that probably you're doing work that we could all benefit from. So how do we do more collaboration than we're doing now? We're doing a lot already, but it would be good if we could do more. And how do we do more co-funding than we do now? So that's basically what it was about. If anyone thinks that's not happening, I'm up for a chat about it, but that's just basically what I've seen. Anyway, next slide, please. So I won't go into the sort of post-it notes here, but basically we were talking about ideas for increasing the amount of collaboration co-funding that happens, and also the blockers that we think. I mean, a lot of it's time and money, the ability to stop and find out what other people are doing and ask. I think it also sometimes, if you're building something for yourself, but versus building a generic thing, the generic thing can take longer. It's just part of it, thinking about common needs over the needs that are immediately in front of you. So I think there are challenges there to sort of get over. That funny concentric circle thing I'm actually going to write up because I get asked about it a lot. It's what we are as a product. I don't know if you can zoom in, but there's basically stuff in the distribution that's either switched on or off. So, and we do this because not everybody wants everything. So there are some things in the distribution that you all have that are switched on. There are lots of things, more things that are switched off. And outside of that, there are kind of modules that we might recommend, like in the future, like SOLR or forms or elections. And outside of that, there are Drupal modules that aren't necessarily installed, but we think might be useful. And we all know what they are. We just have never written them up. So I think we need to start thinking more about the product like this. Anyway, as an aside, we think that there's a possibility to start doing maybe Kickstarter projects. So we know what our missions are for this year, so that's all funded. But outside of that, there are projects we'd really like to do that are unfunded. So we're thinking, well, could we write some of these up and say, this is what a particular project would do? And if councils want to do it, they can put money in the pot somehow. We need to work out how that might work. And then we can potentially do more as a group. So we've got some ideas about how that might work. We've got a couple of candidates already. So I'm thinking, Duncan, although we've not spoken, elections version 3 after version 2 that you've just done, think is a good candidate for that. There are others. So I think we're going to start doing that, and we'll share more as we go. But if there are projects you want to build that currently we're not funded to do, tell us what they are, because I think there could be like Kickstarter. Need to come up with a name for it, but Kickstarter type projects. Anyway, I think that's all from this.
Brilliant. That's great. Well, thank you. So we're just going to finish off. Maria couldn't be with us. She's on holiday gardening. So she ran a session on accessibility. So it's part of the 3 sort of strategic initiatives. So microsites, content editor experience, and accessibility. This is basically just taken from Slack. There is now an accessibility meetup. It's the first Thursday of the month at 2 o'clock. You can sign up on Luma. So if Tim, if you could share the calendar. And it's a mix, actually. We've got a mix of content designers and developers coming, which is really interesting. So come along if you've got problems or you want to just share or explore a challenge around accessibility. It's a sort of community of practice that we're building up for that. She's also interested, because we're auditing LocalGov Drupal. If you've done an accessibility audit, then let her know on Slack. She'd love to see it. We can build into the intelligence that she's building up. There will be an accessibility working group to go alongside this initiative, basically, which will be to get new accessibility improvements in. If you're interested in being involved, either through testing or feedback or bringing in issues, then again, let her know. She's going to start that up hopefully next month. And then I think, as I understand it, part of the session was also a little practical session on setting up your own accessibility personas. There's a link there to how to do that, which I think she followed along, and people did that, as I understand, in the session. So that's just a point of interest. Poll results. Shall I close the poll?
Yeah.
Could
Can we
see
close
it.
it?
I'm trying to find it. Where have you gone? Oh, Zoom, I hate you.
Drum roll, please. I can read out the results even if I can't share.
Oh, here we go. It's right in front of me. I'm just completely blind. So end poll, share results. There we go. Am I sharing results? Is that showing something? Yeah. Okay, I've got nods. Right. So Tim, you do it. This is your questions.
Yeah. So for question 1, would people be interested in a second in-person event? 88% said yes, which was 21 out of 24 people, and 1 person said no. So I don't know who that one. I've got a fair idea of who that 1 person is, but 1 person said no, so they don't have to go. But we can maybe do another in-person event. We'll see how the land lies.
Was that you, Tim?
I didn't put no. I'm very much into doing another event.
Still traumatized by the camp. Yeah.
No. The second question was a sort of a preference for a free venue from a council with low costs but limited space and facilities, or a bigger dedicated conference venue, which would help with things like the audio, for example, which people said wasn't great. So there was still a preference for going with a council venue, 58%. 2 people said dedicated conference venue, that was 8%, and 33% didn't know. So it's interesting. So thanks very much for people's feedback. It's great. We'll take it on board.
Brilliant. Thanks, Tim. That was the end. Did anyone spot the 1 smiling person at LocalGov Drupal Camp?
It took me. I did find one. Aaron mentioned to me earlier that there wasn't anybody smiling, so I went through the photos and I did manage to find 1 person. Do you want to put them on, Aaron?
I don't know where they are.
I can't remember where they are either. It was. I think it was in one of Will's. It was on one of Will's sessions, I think.
Oh, it was in the content. Oh yeah, there we go.
It's that one. It's that one.
It's Laura from Trafford, just over by the table on the right-hand side there.
So there we go. No one found it. So I'm responsible for taking the photographs. So apologies, I didn't manage to get capture more people smiling. I will endeavour next time with my very unprofessional photography skills to find some more smiling people, because people were smiling. It was a good day. More photos at lunchtime and in the social after, maybe. Anyway, sorry, Erin, back over to you.